Hello everyone and welcome back to the SEO Club, your favorite SEO channel on YouTube. We have got fantastic Natalia. We somehow thankfully crossed our paths in a past and we just clicked, and I learned so much from her. I look up to her extremely, so I'm very, very happy that she agreed to join and talk about international SEO. Welcome, Natalia.
Thank you so much for having me, Ivana. And as you said, we met, we clicked, we have the same outlook on SEO, and I will be so happy to share my outlook with the viewers today.
Thank you. We're going to be talking about international SEO because a lot of people don't even know the difference. What is SEO, international SEO, local SEO? So can you just shortly tell us what goes under international SEO?
It's a very good question because I think it's often misunderstood what international SEO is. And many people might be already doing international SEO without knowing it. Because international SEO, how I define it, is all the SEO that has to do with many languages or many markets you target. And now we can become very picky and say, it has to be a couple of languages at least, or markets that are very different to each other. Because if you just target English speaking, is it international SEO? But I would argue yes, because international SEO is everything that puts your website into international context. So as long as you report on several countries and you look into the countries that you get traffic from, as long as there's several languages, even within the same country, but maybe that you live in a country that has got several official languages, you're already tackling the international SEO aspects.
So the difficult SEO, really, the one where you need to make sure that you properly target Australia, meanwhile you're targeting India in English, right? This difficult one.
I guess it's difficult because it's very scalable. Anything
Yes.
that goes wrong, it multiplies per language, per market. Everything that goes right brings more results and more spectacular results. So it's just that scale that kind of changes the approach.
And it's
Yeah,
very
I'd say
easy to
so.
break it because you just add new language. And if you don't do it properly, you just mess up because sometimes you just copy paste the language setup and you don't change the canonicals, you don't change the hreflangs, and you're suddenly targeting, you have canonical of Switzerland where you should be targeting New Zealand, right? So it's actually difficult and there's lots of things going into it. What is not international is restaurants near me, I would say. So this would not be international SEO, that goes under local, and I'm promising we will have episode on that as well. Now, how did you get into international SEO? I mean, I know you're very technical, so I always thought of you as the technical SEO type. But I think international and technical goes hand in hand because it's the technical setup of the website that allows you to scale up and do international. So how did you chosen this very, very difficult one?
It's a very, very interesting thing because for ages I wanted to be technical SEO, and that was my first craft. I'm not the most of technical people. I don't code in JavaScript, for example. So there's some limit to my technical abilities that I have working knowledge, but I don't have mastery of that. And then for ages, people asked me if I do international SEO just because my hobby is languages. I'm based in Spain. I speak fluent Spanish. I started in the SEO industry in the UK, but I'm originally from Poland. So everyone looked at me and they were like, "You're international. You must be doing international SEO." And there came a point in my life when I was like, people see it in me. I do have language abilities, which helps. It's not a necessity, but it helps. Why not? I'm already kind of associated with that in a way. So why work against the current if you can just go with that and make it better? And it's true that speaking languages helps loads because you understand structures, patterns that really help in international SEO. But also, it's kind of technicalities in the languages that make it more fun. So you can even work on languages you don't really speak just because you get the general idea how languages work. So yeah, that's kind of my shortened
Okay.
story.
It chose you. It chose you.
Yes, I
The
like that.
specialty
I
chose
like
you.
that.
Okay,
International
fantastic.
calling.
So international SEO, as we have got lots of viewers for the iGaming space, it is basically iGaming SEO because we target usually lots of countries. We want to take all of the world in our one website, and many times that's where we struggle. How do you find it as you are in international SEO for a while? Is it getting easier or is it getting more difficult over the years?
There used to be a time I remember very, very fondly when simply translating a website meant you are indexed and ranking
Good old
already
times.
just
Good
because you've
old
done
times.
that. It was a long time ago. And I remember also people setting up websites in languages to see what's going to stick. Let's translate to 5 languages. And if we get enough business, we will open customer service in that language. We will go and make it actually international business. It's not the case anymore. Now it's the other way around. You have to have truly international business. You have to have the relevancy internationally to make it work. Otherwise, Google will just see it's another translated, automated translation website that doesn't provide any unique value to those users in that language. So I think it's become immensely more difficult. And I think the international SEO magic that we used to do is just not happening anymore. Now it's the hard strategy, work, and implementation that make it happen.
But I still see it. I still see people opening a website in one language and just hoping to target everything. And then they see a little bit of traction from Germany. So they, Google Translate to German and they are doing international SEO. There's no href links. There is no backlink profile that supports that. There is horrible content. Pages are no indexed because the localization is set up in a way that Google cannot even crawl this. Those are just few things I can name, but I'm sure you have more horror stories. What are the worst things that you have seen? What are the absolutely most horrible setups that you have seen as an international SEO consultant?
There are still websites on the internet that use dynamic translation. So they have one set URL for all languages. And it always bugs me big time because I'm thinking they've invested the time and effort, but just completely failed the first step, which is deciding what the setup of the URLs is going to be in every language, because it's just not there. And Google crawls usually from the IP address in the US. So they just know about the English version. So there's zero chance of any other language version to rank. And I've seen that happen even to massive websites that had 20 languages. And then those 20 translations, 20 efforts put in were just equaling to zero outcome. So that fascinates me. But I think, yeah, the awareness of SEO is just slowly getting there. And if there's none, there's no chance anyone would detect it on any point. So when I came in, obviously that was the first thing I detected. That was usually the most spectacular improvement because straight away, just setting up the URLs means crawling works, indexing works, and then we see where we are and what results we get from that, and then we can optimize more. But yeah, sometimes the biggest mistakes are in the very beginning, and just the setup is just not there to have a win.
So as always in SEO, you should plan. You should plan how you're going to do it, which markets, and how you're going to target it. So what do you recommend as a correct setup of international SEO from the planning stage to the website stage? What would be the correct steps that you would say that they are must? Without those, you're just not going to succeed.
There is a great first step, which I always recommend, which is not really an SEO step, but it answers a lot of SEO questions, which is the branding exercise to understand what domain or subfolder or subdomain setup you want to go with. And for me, it's very much a branding exercise because if you decide you are this global SaaS brand that sells being international and scalable, you want to go for .com. You are a global website. There's no local impact there. Your impact is being the global brand. But if you are trying to really reach that local audience and have that local messaging, you have to go for country code domains. So those decisions have to happen early on because that's going to set up the whole project and that's going to make every decision later easier because you have a clear strategy to go with. And I think many questions SEOs ask are beyond SEO, and many disciplines can mix in a very nice palette of answers if done correctly. So yeah, I love this connection of SEO and branding and how they make sense. Branding being the strategy, SEO being the implementation of the strategy.
You said an important thing here. You are on .com, you are international. Do you think you can build up an international website, let's say on .de, and then add other languages like Scandinavian languages to it and be international? Or is it just simply easier on the .com?
The country code domains are still a very strong signal and indication, on one hand to Google algorithmically, and on the other hand to the users. And I can't imagine Scandinavian users who already have very limited access to native sources because the internet in the Scandinavian countries is not as huge as English speaking, for example, and them seeing a foreign domain and making that click and sending that user signal, it's very much unlikely. So it's on one hand the algorithmical handicap you will get, and then on the other hand, users will kind of reinforce it's not the domain for them because that's what they visually are used to. That it's not their choice. So I'd say if you really want to target international, you might stick to your DE domain in Germany, but go for something more neutral or local in the next markets. Just not to set yourself up for a failure from the very beginning.
You need to think right from the start, what is going to be our domain, what is going to be the branding, how are we going to set it up. What are the most typical mistakes that you see in setups? Like the most, like they try to set up a website, there is no SEO behind it. What are the most usual, very easy to fix issues that they set up wrongly?
I think that there's a huge issue with understanding that translating means not a landing page within a different website language, not a module, but the whole thing. And you'll find sometimes navigation being in English and then local languages being used just as a landing page content. That also is very dated thinking of how the translations work. But it still happens. It's still out there. And it's very interesting because I think the investment to fix it is such a huge difference on the user experience layer that it's just worth it. Even if not for SEO traffic that you can justify, simply from sending that message that you are a quality company, quality service, quality product. You need quality in those things. And same goes with, yeah, I'm going to come back to automated translations because that's a hype now. Everyone wants to translate automatically. And it can be good quality. Don't take me wrong. I've seen websites who do it on scale and it works for them. But there has to be that QI element. Quality has to be there. For example, if you translate to Spanish, you have to make sure you know you're targeting either Latin America or Spain, because the difference there is how you address the second person. You can use the version usted, which is the polite one, which they do a lot in Latin America, or you can be direct and say tú. And so you need kind of
Yeah.
clear messaging in your language who you are targeting. And I promise you, if you try to target Spaniards from Spain, using Latin American Spanish is not going to convince them, because that's also one of the international SEO issues where websites are showing where they shouldn't. Typically Spanish in Latin America, not the other way around, just because they have more authority most of the time, not always, but most of the time. But yeah, so those decisions when you translate and this quality and someone who knows about the language specifics, it's a must have. And the same with languages that have different lengths. You just go automate translations like that. And then you realize your template is not even prepared for the long German words because you've designed it for English, which is way shorter, for example.
Yeah.
So it's those details that I think matter more and more. And users are so susceptible to those small signals without, conditionally just deciding, oh, this looks like quality, this looks like secure website. They won't scam me, whatever, because we obviously are exposed to so many risks. I think the quality in the details really, really matters. And translation wise, it's a big topic.
Especially now when everybody started to do their websites with the growth of AI, it's so easy to scrape a website, create the AI content, and Google needs to be picky what they actually rank, what they index, and how they rank it. And the smallest thing can be a huge difference. I recently saw issues on international websites with not having href links or correct canonicals, everything be canonicalized to the front page of the main.com. So I think those are issues that you have the best intention, but you need to bring in SEOs. Sadly, people still think SEO is some magic juice. You sprinkle it on top, like on salad, and then you are position one and you just don't need the SEO anymore. So I would say you need SEO from the very, very, very beginning of your project, at least to look at your setup. And then through the project, and even if you are on position one, you still need an SEO, because in the moment you make any changes, especially to huge websites that are usually the international ones, things can go south very easily. You put a cookie policy there that suddenly stops you from being crawlable. You add a new localization that is not indexing at all because you've forgotten that you need to set it up. So SEO, and this is, I think, a message to anyone who is thinking of setting up a new website or has a website that is not working. SEO is everything. We are in a server, we are in a code, we are in a content, we are in a user experience, we are in a conversion rate, we are in a content, we are in a links. We're annoying, we're everywhere. So you need us, and you need someone amazing like Natalia. Trust me, because she knows even what's coming in 2025, in your humble opinion, and how is the international already difficult SEO work going to change.
Well, I don't know if I know, but I'm very happy to make predictions. And if I was right, hey, I called it. I
You heard
think
it
the
first
biggest
on this
topic.
channel.
Yes, exactly. And then I'm gonna backdate and be like, look, I always know things, if that's true. No, I think the biggest topic of 2024 has been the kind of desperate awaiting of what's going to happen with AI overviews. And I think that topic specifically, it's very much laying in the international SEO aspect, because internationally it is the most varied aspect of a SERP at the moment. I'm going to share some fun facts with you. Well, AI overviews are detected on different percentages by different tools. But what's really interesting is that if you're not from European Union, you might have missed that we still don't have AI overviews rolled out at all. No in
Thanks
labs,
God,
not
not
logged
yet, not
in,
yet, not yet.
not yet. Now, no one knows when and no one knows how they're going to roll out because it's likely as well what's going to roll out is not going to be exact replica of what we have now because Google is still testing things and it's very likely they're going to adjust it. They might have to adjust it to the legislation in the EU. So there's a lot of unknowns. My prediction is they will go into roll out in 2025 in some capacity, not exactly the same as US, for example, but probably this direction. And also, what will be interesting is how we're going to start measuring it in any way, because obviously Search Console data that doesn't seem to be coming anytime soon. Some tools have big discrepancies, so we don't really know what's happening there. So I think we'll sit our nose deep in SERPs, VPN, old school Googling in incognito mode, or even next step would be creating your own Google profile for your customer persona, search persona. So making a unique Google Chrome profile that responds to the trends and the searches that your customers would have made to really replicate that experience and imitate that search that's happening by a human being in a very specific conditions instead of massive tools that don't always show exactly what's happening. So I think international SEOs will sit deep in the SERPs and we'll just keep testing, testing, testing. That's the only way to understand what's gonna happen. So that's my two predictions really. One is the personalization part where we're gonna have to change the way we look at data and be more qualitative as well. And second, AI overviews rolling out to the EU.
Yeah, AI overviews, I think they are a headache of every SEO because we see what's happening in US. Nobody is happy with it, especially the SEOs. It takes too much of the traffic. People don't actually like them. You don't really know how to rank for it. It seems to be just the top 10 results.
Too many unknowns.
Exactly. Tools, as you said, are very difficult to actually understand what's going on. So yes, we will be testing in SERPs, but we do it anyway, right? Like you take the tool
Well,
and then you actually go to the SERPs and with VPN you check what's going on. So it will be a
I
lot of extra
actually
work for SEOs.
I will share a nugget with you that I discovered not long ago. I already know how to kind of test how AI overviews would look like in Spain today. It's
Oh,
only valid for Spain for one reason, because there is this country that says bordering Spain and France, a microstate called Andorra, that is not part of EU. And I've recently connected to
true.
VPN discovered they do have AI overviews there. And if you Google in Spanish, you will come up with Spain relevant AI overviews answers, even though you're in Andorra. Just because Andorra being such a microstate, there's just not a lot of resources. And also some offers, some e-commerce shops, some internet providers, they just overlap. So they are kind of included in some of the commercial aspects. So I accidentally Googled something I needed to know, which was the price per hour because I was setting up my washing machine and I wanted to know what's the cheapest hour to put it on. And I forgot I'm connected to a VPN in Andorra just because I was doing some crawling that needed some walkabouts. And turns out I got Spain relevant answers in AI overviews. So now when I discovered that, I just started testing it for the clients that ask for it. And if you are in Spain, that could be useful for you. Go and test away.
Fantastic. I was just Googling. I was usually connected to my Andorra VPN. Like, never even thought of using Andorra VPN, but this is fantastic. This is a gold nugget, and you heard it first on this channel. Yeah, AI overview. So, which countries do you think will be first in the EU that gonna get attacked by these fantastic AI overviews? What should we look forward to?
I would suggest that probably they're gonna roll out in all at once, just because I think it's the legislation more than the language aspect. But if they decide to test it first in some markets specifically, probably the old languages, the most established languages, so probably French, Spanish, German.
German.
Probably Eastern Europe is more of a
Mm,
complex because they already have issues now today in Google search to
yes.
sometimes understand that quality, right, of content. So I would suggest that probably AI overviews will also have some drawbacks in this direction.
Yeah, so the easier languages. So I guess Finnish will not be really a tragedy yet, neither Hungarian, but if you are
Exactly,
German,
that would
maybe
be the
there,
tricky
maybe
bit.
there. Okay,
Who knows? Who knows? Maybe they're already working on it. It's just the legislation part that kind of
Maybe. I mean,
holds them back.
EU loves to create a difficult legislation. So in the end, we might not even get it because it will be, they will read that somewhere in US it said, put glue in your pizza and they'll be like, oh, we cannot have that. Thank you, Reddit. Feeding data to AI overviews, great for us. Let's see what happens. And if which niches are going to be infected by this, affected. I wanted to say infected really, because it's like infection for us SEOs, but affected, affected.
100%. Well, which niche? I guess it's also depending on how you monetize your website now. And I guess those who have the most informational content will be the first ones to feel the hit. But I'm also interested to see how it's going to roll out. So many unknowns, so many questions.
So many questions, yeah. Well, 2025 is shaping up to be fun for sure. Let's see. And lastly, thank you for sharing all this information. But are there any conferences we can see you speaking? Because you're a huge conference speaker. It's always a pleasure to see you speak. You bring lots of energy on a stage. Is there anywhere we get to see you?
So this year, I'm super excited to speak at International SEO Summit in Barcelona,
Oh,
which is going to be on 14th of November. It will be a fantastic event. The lineup is great. It will be biggest ever again because every year they top their own record. And now we'll be talking, of course, international SEO. How else? I will be speaking about advanced Google Search Console for international SEO.
oh, fantastic. And 2025, do we have any chance to plan our travel in advance to see you?
Not yet. I'm still confirming my slots. But if you organize a conference and you're looking for a speaker who speaks about international SEO, please reach out because I've really gotten international SEO speaking on my agenda and I really want to do more of it. I'm still waiting on some applications I've made. So not
Fantastic. I
yet.
will definitely link to your profile under our video and on my LinkedIn because you are a great speaker. You have got knowledge that is just amazing and very important to us all that
But I
deal.
am a bit hyper when I'm stressed, when I'm nervous, so that gives me this extra boost. So I definitely keep people awake when I talk. That's what I try to do.
Very good. Keep hyper. Keep hyper. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, all the gold nuggets, all the predictions. And I guess we will need to catch up in 2025 to see how actually you have done on those predictions.
Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon.
You too. Stop. It was